What's up, everyone? I've got a ton of different 3D prints that I've been trying on my FlashForge Adventure 3 series. Some of them worked out, some of them did not. It's a lot of trial and error on these 3D print files that you use by changing the scale or whatever you want to do, changing the numbers or temperatures. Some things work out and some things don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you the failures and let them kind of get out of the way. And failures meaning that it didn't work out like I wanted it to. The first thing is this. It's a bigger version of this right here that I was trying to print. And what I did was I tried a different support and it didn't work out for the secondary portion of the pipes and whatnot. So it was a fail, and I canceled the print. But I wanted to show it as is, because what I can do is clean this area up, break it off the raft, fill this in with something, or put it against a wall, and then you have a single one that you could probably try to salvage for some sort of dio, so it still kind of works out some. But I definitely wanted to show you this. It didn't work out like I wanted it to. However, I made another one, so let's get this out of the way. Another bigger version of this one right here, and it sort of worked out some. I really like how the top worked out, but I had it printing like this. And I had my supports, holding on each pipe, but I didn't like the way that turned out. But I could probably sand it down, which I'm going to attempt to do. And I'm trying to go away from using rafts because it has this bad rough feeling as compared to this, where it's a little bit more smoother on here. But, for what I'm going to be using these for in dios and, just photography, it doesn't bother me as much as it would someone else, I guess. But I was real happy how this one turned out. And I do have a couple figures here to kind of help with scale purposes to show you somewhat how it would look. And here is a Marvel Legends flat top next to that. And as you can see, it is a whole lot bigger than the previous one. So let's get this tripod back on here. So I'm happy that it turned out the way it did, being the size that it is, but I'm not happy with some of the effects. And it might be because I have the supports too thick, and I had them linear instead of like the tree, because at first I used the tree. So on this, I went linear, where it's just up and down, and it could have been running too fast, and that's possibly what caused the stringing a little bit. But that's one thing that semi turned out okay, but it was a fail originally, as you can see from this. Now, what was kind of cool was on another print, this was the supports as part of that sign, which I'll show you momentarily. But it looks kind of cool. And if I spray paint this like a silver, it'll look good like over a window or something, of an abandoned house or factory. So even the scrap pieces you can find use for with these 3D prints. So it kind of works out. Another thing that I made is this is called a Star Wars Mos Eisley drink dispenser. So this is the back portion, and there's some pipes, and apparently you can fill your drink up from each one of those spouts. Now, this took a long time to print because I do use a lot of infill, and you see the rough texture right there. Again, that's where I'm using a raft. I'm not good at printing straight on the bed. I am trying and changing numbers and stuff, but I can, sand this down, fix it up, and, after I paint it and put a wash on it, because I haven't started painting these prints yet. I hope to soon, but again, for what I'm using them for, I'm happy with. But I did not make another one because this took a lot of filament and I definitely want to make some changes on my settings and stuff. But yeah, that's going to look good in any diode that you use. But yeah, again, this was off Thingiverse, Moss Isley drink dispenser or something like that. Another thing that I tried, and I made several of these, are some like Sci-Fi cargo containers. And they're a little bit small. Oops, sorry about that. They're a little bit small compared to a bigger one that I made, but I wanted a variety of sizes and whatnot. But I did several in different settings and whatnot. But the supports inside here are pretty hellacious to try to get out of. And so I'm not really going to be worried about it too much. I'm just going to have it look like it's battle damaged or whatnot. But here is another version of the same exact file. I just increased the scale size of it. And it's just going to work like as a Star Wars or Sci-Fi container. And I'm already thinking about painting it like an outer color. And then these inner portion lines that are kind of dug in some. Putting like a red or a bright yellow or, you know, something like that. But I made like a whole stack of them. And of course you can see on the bottom where some are using support, some are using non-support, the rafts. It just all kind of looks somewhat different. Let's see. So again, it's trial and error when you're doing a lot of these. But those are some Sci-Fi containers that I did. Another thing that I did was, and I really like the way these turned out. This is like a Star Wars Sci-Fi container, and you can see the bottoms are not as good as it was like as it printed, it got better. And I'm really impressed with the top, how smooth that is and whatnot. And I do have the ironing feature turned on, but this is a small Sci-Fi type container, and you can see how big it is compared to flat top right there. And then I used the same thing and just increased the scale size, and this is some bigger ones. And again, here's flat top, my guy right here. And yeah, these turned out real well. And as you can see, if you have several of them, they'll look good like in a Star Wars display or whatnot. And yeah, I was happy the way those turned out. So I printed a whole bunch of them, you know, to see how I do with it. Once I find something I'm kind of happy with, I make multiple prints because I give them away sometimes to other people that take photography, pictures and whatnot. Another thing that I did, and I can't remember his name from The Mandalorian, but he's over here chilling and sitting on one of them right there. But this is another Sci-Fi type storage container. So you got this, and it looks like that. It does not open or anything. I made 2 of these. Again, this took a lot of filament. You can see where I used the hexagon as the infill. And I just don't like the way that bottom turned out, you know, with the raft. And sometimes I think my bed might be too hot, and it causes the elephant foot per se. And you see like right there. But again, what I'm using it for, it does not bother me in the least bit. I am ecstatic the way these turned out. This is a fail. This was a post office box that I tried. It came in, it prints all at one time, and I have a small 3D printer. Its dimensions only print 150 by 150 by 150. But I wanted to try it out. I did like the way the rivets turned out and the lettering for US mail turned out. But if it had worked, I definitely would have had to made it bigger to fit with 6-inch figures. But it's printed like this on the printer, and it just didn't turn out as good as I wanted to. So it was definitely a fail, but I wanted to keep it to show off on my 3D print videos to show you how it did turn out. Now this right here is like one of those things you see on the interstate or at a checkpoint to block cars and stuff coming through. I wasn't sure how big to make it, so I made 2 of them this size right here. and comparing it to a Marvel Legends figure. It's right here, and it's that thick, but it's not very big. It probably would work, these would work better with G.I. Joe 118 scale, 3 3/4, but not so much for 6-inch. But you could still use it as, like, you know, some sort of thing like at a concert, or, you know, just use your imagination. But I did make a bigger one, as you can see right here. It's the same exact thing. I just increased the size. You can see where I had some issues right there on the bed, on both sides. But I'm real happy how it turned out, other than a couple of imperfections. So there we go. And we'll put this next to flat top, give you an idea. So that, I think, needs to go down just a little bit. My wife was telling me, you know, find a middle ground between these two, you know, about like right there maybe, and go with it. But I'm still happy how this turned out. And I increased the infill, so this thing is pretty solid. And on this one, I used no supports. So that might be where I had some issues down there, but I don't know. It's trial and error, like I say. The next thing I printed was like this danger sign, and it could be a sign for anything, but it's meant for like the signs that came in with accessory packs for G.I. Joe back in the day. And all I did was just increase the scale size of it. So here it is with flat top. You know, it can look good, like if you're driving into a town, Springfield, population X amount, or if you're building a diorama gun range, you know, danger, this, and put on it. But I was real happy how this turned out. And this is where this scrap piece came from. These are the supports, and the supports were accordioned in right there in the middle to hold this portion up right here. So I can't squeeze it in, but that's how it came off the printer. And I just pulled the supports off. But I was real happy how this turned out. Now the bottom is a little bit small where it's kind of top heavy, but it still works for what I need it and want it to do. So we have that. And the last thing that I just printed, you've seen the jerry cans or gasoline cans before, but I changed some settings. I got a different computer, so I wanted to change some stuff. And of course, none of the Marvel Legends figures have an open hand. Is that not crazy? Like, usually they all have an open hand, but the current ones I have do not, to show you the jerry can. But my Star Wars companion does somewhat, and he scales pretty well with Marvel Legends to a degree. But here is another jerry can, and I'm going to make some that are a little bit bigger, but I like a variety of sizes for these jerry cans because some are meant, he's got them tough hands, so I'm not even going to try to put that in there, but just pretend. You've got jerry cans of all sorts of different sizes. You've got some that are for gasoline, and you've got the mega big ones that a lot of military and law enforcement will use to put water in, you know. But yeah, so let me show you a little close-up on that. So this one is not as detailed as the other one, but it was a hell of a lot easier to print compared to that other one that I showed you when I first got my printer. And it's kind of boxy where the other one's not, but it's good to have a variety. So these are the prints for the latest 3D print video. So I hope you enjoyed. If you use a 3D printer, put in the comments which model you use. I use the Flash Forge Adventure 3, and I use the Flash Print Slicer programs. And if you see anything on my prints that, you know, and you're familiar with it, and you say, hey, you might want to change the speed or the temperature or this, and that, feel free to let me know, because it's definitely a learning experience, and it's not like you're looking in the classroom picking up on all this. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I love to share these 3D prints with the community. And if you're hesitant on getting one, get it. Use Google, ask other people, and just give it a whirlwind. I wish I'd gotten one a lot sooner. So hope you enjoyed this video. Take it easy, and see you on the next one.